I have 3 main beliefs that have allowed me to generate $1 million online. And they're probably not the beliefs that you're gonna be expecting to hear. Like, you might expect to hear something like, I believe I can do it. No, it's like, not that, okay? Let me just go back to the beginning. I always like to try to start with a story whenever I don't really know where quite to start. I don't want to just jump into these 3 beliefs because there is a story behind this. And the story behind this is that LaTisha has always thought that there was something more for her. So if you feel like this, you're probably going to relate to my story. When I was much younger, when I was in school, like even elementary school, middle school, high school, I always had a sense or a feeling that I was going to do something big. And I remember I had this vision in my mind of a woman with a white suit on and a briefcase, and she was going up some stairs. Like, that was always the vision that I had in my head. And I interpreted that vision as, okay, well, you're going to be a CEO, you're going to be a high-powered executive, like there's something big out there for you. And I think the belief that I had, like, because I had that belief, I always had like this driving force behind me. And so after college, I didn't necessarily go full force towards what I had seen, that vision in my head. After I got out of school, I sort of kind of took a default route. And I think I've shared this before, but if you haven't heard this story before, I'll try to keep it short and sweet. But essentially, I was working at a retail store when I was in college, and I didn't go the route of trying to get an internship and like sitting in like a cubicle type job because, number one, I never wanted a cubicle job. And secondly, I didn't really know that that's what I was supposed to do in order to transition. I was always just told, if you go to college, you get a degree, you're going to make more than someone who doesn't. So I was like, okay, great. That's what I'm going to do. So I decided to just work just a regular job. So I was working at a retail store, you know, picking up clothes, folding clothes, putting stuff back. Like, that whole process has really caused me to have a lot more respect when I do go shopping, and I don't just put stuff back on the hanger and just like throw it somewhere. Like, I actually, you know, put it back where I found it and, you know, all of that. So after I graduated college, the manager came to me and she was like, hey, do you want to work here full time? And I thought, well, okay, sure. And she made it seem as if there was this, you know, great career trajectory. So I was like, okay, well, maybe this is my way. This is my method to get to that vision that I see in my head. And so I started working there full time, and I hated it. I thought, I know I said I never wanted a cubicle job, but I'm not even making the money that I imagined that I saw in my head. And I really feel like I'm not living up to my full potential. That's a key word, potential. So just kind of keep that in mind for right now. And once I determined that, I said, okay, well, then there's something else. There's got to be something else out there for me. And then I had a friend who was working in a franchise company, and he told me, hey, if you come and work with us, it was a burger shop. He's like, if you come and work with us, then you could own your own franchise at some point. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is my path. So I started down that path, hated that. I didn't like the fact that I was literally flipping burgers after college. You know, there's that like saying of, if you don't go to school and get a degree, you're gonna end up flipping burgers. I went to school and got a degree, and I was still flipping burgers. And I felt like I still wasn't living up to my full potential. I even had an Army recruiter that walked in one day, and she asked me a couple questions about myself, and I told her that I had a college degree and, you know, I was working here so that I could eventually become a franchise owner. And she looked at me and she said, you're not living up to your full potential. And it was like, when she said those words, it was like she hit on the exact thing that I was already thinking in my head. But I also knew I didn't want to join the military because I never wanted to go to boot camp. I might be pretty active now, but I've never really been the type of person that wants to like actually climb ropes and jump boxes. I do it because like you get to be done and go home after. I never wanted to like do it for a couple months straight. So anyways, long story short, I knew that there was still something more for me, but I just didn't know what it was. So as I continued on my path, I decided to go back to college. I ended up getting a finance degree. That finance degree led me to my first full-time job in a cubicle, which I never wanted to have, but I was like, hey, maybe this is your path. You're going to have to do that. And got that job, still didn't like it. And there was like this consistent theme of, I keep trying to reach that vision that I have in my head, but I'm just not quite sure how to get there. So the key thing that I want to impress upon you and share from this story is, if you also have a vision as well of where you'd like to go and where you desire to be and where you feel like you should be, like there's some sort of potential there that you're not reaching, I completely understand. And in order for me to get there, I realized that I had to shift certain beliefs, because there were certain beliefs that I had that served me, and then there were beliefs that did not serve me. And I didn't realize that until I actually pushed forward to that goal, which was me quitting my full-time job and deciding to go full-time into entrepreneurship. And this is what led me to really completely changing the trajectory of my life. Second belief. I got a little hesitant to type this one out when I was writing up my notes, because I was like, they're going to think that I'm just like super cocky, which is what an old boss once told me. But I believe I'm better at most people at most things. And this is another seemingly delusional belief. But by believing that I'm above average meaning I can do more than the average person, or I can accomplish more than the average person, I actually convinced myself to take more action than the average person. So if you think about the results that on average people get, or the things that happen to the average person, I have always had a belief that I am more adept, more intelligent, more willing to take action than the average person. I'll go back to high school, for example, because when I was in high school, I ended up taking a calculus class, which it was like one of those college prep classes. It was not necessary in order for me to graduate. I actually already had satisfied my math requirements. I didn't have to take a math as a senior, but I decided to, because I was like, I'm better than the average person at most things. And that class really humbled me, and it shocked me to the core. However, after getting one of my first failing grades ever, I went back to my first belief, which is I believe I can do whatever I set my mind to. And I knew that I had to approach this differently. I had to do more than what my average even was. I had to study harder. I ended up buying this book that was like unconventional way of learning math, because I'm a creative person. I ended up buying a book that was designed for creative people to learn this topic. And so when I say I believe I'm better than most people at most things, it's simply because I know that I'm going to take more action than the average person. Okay. And I've talked about this before when it comes to like effort-based goals versus outcome-based goals. So the average person is going to set what's called an outcome-based goal. They're going to say, my goal is to make this much, or my goal is to lose this much weight or gain this much weight. My goal is to XYZ outcome, right? I know that an outcome-based goal is only going to get you like 30 to 40% of the way there. Why? Because you haven't identified the inputs that go into getting that outcome. And so what I do instead is I set what are called effort-based goals. I first choose my outcome. So right now I'm in the process of wanting to get on stage again. And so my outcome is step on stage in a bikini and compete and ideally get a pro card. That's the outcome. But what are the inputs that go into that goal? What's the effort that I have to put forward in order to reach that goal? Well, I believe the effort is cardio. I believe the effort is staying on track with my meals. I believe the effort is lifting sessions. I believe the effort is prioritizing my sleep. I believe the effort is. So these are the efforts that I believe go into that outcome. And therefore, I am going to do those efforts every day. And I'm going to do more than what the average person would do from my perspective. Okay, I do want to clarify that. But in order for me to take on this belief, and also in order for it to not be detrimental, because it has been in the past, I had to shift the belief that I'm in competition with anyone else other than myself. So this is one of those beliefs that cuts both ways. If I believe that I'm better at most things than the average person, I will always be comparing myself to the next person. And there's danger in that. Why? Because comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare yourself to other people, you are comparing your 100% view of what you know you're doing, the effort you know you're putting in. You know the full picture from your perspective, but you don't know their full picture. You only know the outside. And so you're comparing yourself with what you see that they're doing, and that could cause you to kind of go into this like downward spiral. So in order for me to have this belief to actually benefit me, I had to shift the belief that I'm in competition with anyone else other than myself. And therefore, my goal, for example, to get on stage and get a pro card is not so I can beat the other people on stage. It's so I can beat the best version of myself. And what that means is, regardless of whether I get that outcome of pro card, the goal doesn't matter because I'm competing with myself. All I have to do is say, hey, did I put this effort in? And did I put more effort in than I did last time? Did I get a better outcome than I did last time? I'm comparing myself to me. And so this is one thing that, like I said, I had to shift this belief for myself just a little bit, because it caused me to really kind of go into this downward mental spiral of paying attention to what everyone else was doing, and then therefore not really paying attention to what I was doing for myself and what I wanted for myself. The third belief that I had in order to help me make $1 million is I believe that money isn't real. It's simply digits on a screen. Let me explain. The value of money is just an agreement that we have collectively made. You have agreed to accept money as payment in exchange for services and products. I have agreed to accept money in exchange for payments of services and products. And money in and of itself has no inherent value. And if you don't believe this, imagine a world where the only thing that mattered was survival. Do you think that you could eat money? You cannot. The only thing it could possibly do is, if you have paper money, it could keep you warm if you burned it. So when you think about that and you think about the inherent value of it, it really doesn't have any value other than what we've collectively decided that it has. And so once I realized that, I was able to bring money off of this pedestal that I had it on. And that's really what allowed me to move forward in my money situation, because I had a lot of messed up money beliefs. A lot. And these were beliefs that I had from what I saw my parents doing, things that I believe because of just years and years of conditioning and beliefs that did not serve me. Okay. So I want to really impress this upon you is, because I'm a participant of the system and you're a participant of the system, you are the one who gives money value. Okay. Money is simply a way to exchange value. The more value that I provide to people with value to exchange, the more value that I receive. Okay. Money is a tool. I'm the architect. I'm the one that's in control. I'm the one that says this money is worth it for me. I'm the one that says, okay, that gas price is okay. I'm going to spend that money on gas. Maybe if I'm like, oh, I don't like that gas price, maybe I drive a little bit less so I don't have to spend the money on gas. I'm the one who chooses this is what is valuable to me based on the money that I'm willing to spend on it. And so in order for me to have this belief and also have it to benefit me, I had to shift the belief that money has power. Money has no power in and of itself other than the power that you give it. And so what this did for me was it allowed me to remove the desperation and neediness from those sales calls that I was having, where I was telling people about my services. In the very beginning, I was like, I hope they say yes. I hope they say yes. I hope they say yes, because I need this money. Instead, it shifted to, wow, I really hope this person is a good fit. And if they are, they're probably going to be excited. And if they are, they're going to want to make that exchange of value because I know the value that I'm providing to them. And it's simply an exchange of value. And if it's not this person, then it's going to be the next person. Exact same mindset that I got into when I decided that I was tired of putting so much energy and effort and putting like a quote unquote relationship, marriage on a pedestal. And I decided to just let all of that go. I was like, well, you might be the right person, but if it's not you, hey, it might be the next one. You have to impress me versus me trying to like beg, like, oh my gosh, I hope you're the right person. And I feel like a lot of times we do that with money. If you're looking at your money situation, you're like, this is just not really what I'm expecting it to be. You probably have a belief that's causing you to put money on a pedestal. Money should not be on a pedestal. It's simply a tool. You are the one in control. You are the architect. You're the person who says, this is valuable. This is not valuable. I agree that it's worth this much. I have this much value to exchange. Are you willing to provide money in exchange for this value that I'm going to give you? If not, okay, fine. Maybe the next person will. And so I feel like this was a big one for me. And it really was what allowed me to unscrew up my money situation and allow me to really move into overflow, because there was a lot of emotions attached to my personal money situation, so much so that it was preventing me from receiving money. I wasn't even open to receive money because I felt like I had to labor for it. You don't have to labor for money. You don't have to earn money. You get to receive as a result of your energy, your vibration, and your expectation. And if you don't believe this to be true, there are some people who receive money and they don't do anything. And if you don't believe that, think of people who have quote unquote inherited money and they don't, using air quotes, do anything. But the idea is that you don't have to earn money. You get to allow money in. You got to take it off of this throne that it's on. It's simply digits on a screen. I don't believe that money is real in that case. I believe it's something that I get to choose to put value on and place value on. And me shifting that belief and putting a stronger belief in place, which is I'm in control, is what has allowed me to allow more money in. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this topic. This video was just a clip from a much longer session that I hosted with my YouTube channel members. We talked about the beliefs I had to shift in order to make my first $1 million and how you can identify what beliefs are holding your success hostage. If you'd like to watch the full training and binge on 3+ years worth of full trainings just like this one, just become a channel member. You can do that by clicking join. I hope you enjoyed this one and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.